coming in. Rome itself, the center, was New York in my, and many of the characters of Republican Rome, Cicero was sort of like Mayor Koch, I always thought. And so I thought to start working from that beginning. I wanted to make a movie about utopia, and I settled on a little-known kind of footnote in Roman history known as the Catiline Conspiracy. Sort of, no one really knows what went on, but Cicero, who was the consul then, defeated this mad aristocrat Catiline who was going to take over the city and burn it and destroy it. And I just said, well, what if he wasn't going to burn and destroy it? What if he was going to remake it into a new society? And so I began a kind of Catiline conspiracy with a character who was sort of like a Cicero, and this Catiline character was more like a Robert Moses, but an enlightened Robert Moses, a great Robert, with kind of a little more Ayn Rand. And it was a political fantasy about basically the premise that maybe human beings are so creative and so talented that we really are capable to make a world where the priorities were all really positive and that would be good for everybody, that we could solve the issues that stopped that. And that was the premise of that movie. And of course, right while I was working on it and even shooting second unit, that's when the World Trade Towers tragedy happened. And so suddenly, you know, this little fantasy set in Manhattan, a big fantasy, suddenly everyone knew about New York. Rudy Giuliani was the mayor of New York. And oddly enough, the original Megalopolis story before the Twin Towers dealt with something that was really like, I began to think, you know, art is copying my script, because it was originally an old, clunky Soviet nuclear satellite, sort of on its last legs, fell out of the sky from Labrador to here, and destroyed a section of downtown New York. And so the issue was, what were they going to build in that space? And so the question was, the main character, who was this kind of Ayn Rand kind of character, wanted to build a city within New York that was the model of what a city could be, in which, and of course, for an architect, the first thing an architect does is says, well, what are the people in the city I'm going to build, what are the people going to do there? So I said, well, the people of the future are going to only be concerned with 4 areas, because they're not going to work anymore. They're going to be concerned to create. That's one of the 4 human priorities: to learn, to perfect, which is to physically be physically perfected or spiritually perfected, and to celebrate, have parties and festivals. And so the city should be designed to accommodate those things: learning, creating, perfection or perfecting, and celebration, parties, festivals, weekends. And so it's all about the struggle. The story script was in that kind of vague Rome, America setting. The story was all about the struggle to make, in fact, that happen. Of course, in the writing of that script, I realized the truth, that we are capable of doing that. The problem is that the people in power are sitting on the top of things. They don't want it to be that, because the people in power today don't gain their power from the fact that there's hatred and disagreement and conflict, like the Serbian leaders after Tito died. Serbia and all of those people in what was Yugoslavia, they got along fine. What happened was that after the fall of the Soviet or that part of the world, all those kind of ex-Bolshevik guys in Yugoslavia and stuff, in order to keep the power they had, they started to say, oh, those Bosnians or those Croats, or and it was through hatred that they got their power back. So the people today, when you talk about the Middle East or the peace, they don't want peace. The people in that position, the people on top of things that control everything, like it the way it is.
Do you think you'll make that project at any point?
It's not on my thinking, and now I'm making another film in Argentina starting shortly. And it's much more personal. It's more like, you know, Eugene O'Neill or Tennessee Williams trying to write about understanding some of in my own house. It's not autobiographical, but it's based on, you know, a family with a lot of creative people and how that works and happens.
Did you ever talk to Robert Caro about Robert?
Wow, what a great book. It's one of the best biographies I think ever written. What a great book that is.
It's a natural for you. That's why I asked. You know, when I read about Megalopolis, I thought, well, what a great story for you to tell.
Well, Robert Moses. I mean, the portrait of Robert Moses in that book is not at all a nice guy. You know,
no, it's very nice.
But what a great book that is.
I went back and I looked at Godfather 3 because I'd never seen it before, and I see that basically it was about the futility of trying to protect your children. So I thought I'd explore that a little bit because I'm a dad, because we have kids, and I wanted to hear what your thinking was about what having children does to the creative life.
Well, I was always, as a kid, maybe because I had polio and I was kind of quarantined from other kids, plus the fact that my father moved a lot, so I never had friends. I always was very attracted as a kid to having friends, which I didn't have. And so when I was about 17, 18, I was suddenly coming a little bit into my own in the drama departments of schools and high school and stuff, and good at that, putting on plays. I used to work as a drama counselor, and I loved. I worked at some camps here in upstate New York, I guess, and I was the one who would do the plays, and I would do plays with the 6-year-olds and plays with the 7-year-olds, and I would do plays with all the different ages, and then at the end of the year I did a musical of the boys and girls camps combined. And I always just loved being with children and really enjoyed, and I think I was a really good counselor. I had a bunk with 9 little boys, and I would read them books and go on treasure chests, and they really had a fun time. They're all big hedge fund operators now, and I had lots of fun with them, and so when I was young, about to be married, I had kids pretty young, 23, and by the time I made Godfather, with Sophia coming, I had 3 kids, and I just enjoyed my children. It was not a disappointment. It's always a shock for me to see how old the young men are today before they get around to having kids and what they're missing, because, you know, I had a 20-year-old son when I was 42, so I had him helping me. And now I have his daughter is 21, so I have a 21-year-old granddaughter. It means I'm in line to possibly someday being a great-grandfather, which is a thrill. So children just were always a delight to me and a pleasure to me, and I enjoyed them so much. And then so I always brought my kids with me, which is a little something I picked up with from my father, though I don't think he did it for the reason I did it, because if I was a movie director and going off to make movies in the Philippines or Dominican Republic, and the kids had to stay in school, because I'm sure probably I would have really lost the sense of, God knows that I'd even be married, you know, so I always took my family with me as a rule, and as a result, my kids were raised around movie sets, and as a result, they're all in the movie business, and also many nephews and nieces. And at Napa, we always had the pleasure of having them for the summer, and I would say things like, all right, this is going to be 1-act play summer, and I want everyone to make 1-act plays. And, oh, we don't want to make 1-act plays, we want to go fishing, it's summer. And then little by little, they all did 1-act plays. So out of those summers, doing 1-act plays and stuff like that, all these talented kids, I mean, Sophia happened that summer, or Jason Schwartzman happened, they blossomed out of this experience of really doing shows when they were 16 and 17 and what have you. So